Welcome to Financial Strategies with Andrew Agemy in Connecticut and Daniel Agemy in Colorado.
All righty, Dad. So, this summer I got to spend quite a bit of time up with my friend in Alaska.
Yeah.
And I met him in basic trading in Texas. And his goal was always to have passive income. And he wanted to do it with real estate. So he, at 18 or so, was talking to bankers, trying to figure out how he could buy a duplex so that he could live in one half, earn passive income from the second. And as time went, he was able to use that equity, use that income to buy another. And time went on and he bought a quadruplex.
Nice.
And the whole idea was to build up this passive income. So in the future, he could live off the passive income. And after that started compounding, he understood how he could start building passive income from other avenues, from other venues, and start getting more diversification than just real estate. But real estate people really understand the importance of passive income from two aspects, right? One is you're able to use that to leverage yourself, use the equity plus the passive income to create more passive income. I'm
Right.
Daniel Agemy.
And I'm Andrew Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Welcome back. And today's topic is passive income for retirement. We're glad to be able to bring you this segment today, this show today, and be able to help you understand what you don't know so that you can be able to have income coming in, the passive income, without having to work so hard for it. So, Daniel, that's a great illustration. You're a smart guy, your friend there. And to think that through at 18 years old and start that process, and now he's got quite a bit of repertoire, quite a bit of property that's building up, and only being 35 years old or whatever he is, and heading well toward that time when he can retire and then just take that passive income from those rental properties onto being able to live in retirement. Well, so that's great. So we're talking today about passive income for retirement. So what is passive income? Daniel, where do people your age especially get passive income these days?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how everyone thinks about it, but it's a big deal right now. Everybody's talking about how can I earn passive income? How can I not do the 9 to 5? How can I um live off of assets paying me or things paying me? And so people are doing, especially before rates went up, people are doing things. They're buying houses and then Airbnb them out, right?
Right.
um People are Airbnb their houses out and then using the income from that to go travel, and then they're working remote and they're traveling, but they're earning an income from renting their house out, right?
Yeah.
People, YouTube is a big one. People are building up huge followings on YouTube so that they can generate a pass. I don't know how passive that is because it's a lot of work to build the videos on YouTube, but I guess it gets easier once you have the followers and that income's coming in, right?
Right.
There's things like that, Instagram, where if you have enough followers, then companies will pay you to sponsor them and things like that. So people really get it, and they're looking for these ways where they can generate as much passive income as possible, supplement their travel fund, right? Or some people are able to change so that's their job, where they're
Right.
they're just taking care of their properties, or they are doing like a travel blog and they're enjoying the travel and renting out their house and earning income from the whole thing.
Right. Right. A lot of different areas. Uh, the digital area carries a lot, not just the YouTube channels, but other things, is my understanding, that are available from the digital realm. So a lot of things. But you know what? The desire to have that passive income is not anything new to your generation, nor was it new to my generation. My generation, we had a lot of multi-level marketing organizations that were constantly barraging us with, hey, come join us, work hard, develop a downline, and then you'll have a passive income the rest of your life. Was the concept, was this the talk, the rhetoric that they gave. And I know many of people that got involved with that. One thing in particular was an um, uh, uh, electric source company that resold electric. And the idea was, oh, you'll have this passive income the rest of your life. Well, at least in Connecticut, that company's not in Connecticut anymore. So anybody that was in Connecticut doesn't have that. So there's a
Uh,
lot of problems to that kind of thing, right? But whatever this passive income is, whether it's Social Security is a form of passive income. Pensions are a passive income. But one thing that's there's two pieces of passive income that are key. We're thinking of the income. One is the income that it's going to create later that we don't have to work for later. But just like the person that said there's no free lunches, you have to work hard to be able to get to that point. Like your friend, he's working hard, figuring all this stuff out, managing the houses, managing the rentals, managing the contracts to get to that point to where it won't be so hard. We have Social Security, we have pensions, we have to work for 40 years to be able to collect those things. We have to work hard to be able to collect those things if we want them to be any sizable number. The multi-level organization, same thing. Like you've already brought out the YouTubes, it's a lot of work to get viewers to be able to, the amount of viewers you need to be able to make some money off of that. So it's hard work that creates a passive income later. And we're going to talk more about that as we go today. But if you just joined us, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. And today's topic is passive income for retirement. And we are looking forward to having you continue with us today with this. We have a paper that we put together for the show, and it's called the name of the show, Passive Income for Retirement. And we'd love to be able to send this out to you. And if you like this, just call us at 800-725-7616 for your free copy. 800-725-7616, no obligation. Or hit us up on our website, agemy.com, agemy.com, for your free copy of Passive Income for Retirement. You listen to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Agemy because people don't know what people don't know. And so as we talk about passive income, we're talking about different things, places where it's come from, Social Security being a passive income, but we have to work hard for this. And there's a lot of detriment. There's a lot of negative aspects that can come from that, right? Rental property can create a passive income, but you have to work hard to be able to get to that point. Businesses create can create a passive income. That's the whole idea, but you have to work hard to be able to get that business to create that when you're not working for it. Am I leaving anything out with that, Daniel?
no, I mean, there's lots of different passive ways to generate passive income. Some of them are less passive than others, though, and I think that's where people get mixed up sometimes. These real estate people start to realize that, right? Like my friends asked me a couple of times, she's like, "You think I should sell one of these things and invest the money in something that can generate a different type of income because they're a lot of work. I have
Right,
another friend who she has an apartment and there was this company that said, "We'll do all the work for you. We'll give you this amount of income." And then they would like kind of sublet it out and
right.
they'd take the difference. And then they
Okay.
they they don't do what they're supposed to do and all the problems still go back to her and it's supposed to be this easy thing and it's not. And it's like, is that really passive when you have to deal with all these things? And you know how difficult it can be to get people to do what they're supposed to do, right?
Right.
So
Right.
when you're talking about taking care of tenants and taking good care of them, and you're talking about taking care of the structures and the buildings, how many guys do you have come in, guys and gals do you have come in who own a lot of real estate and they say, "Andrew, I'm thinking about selling my real estate.
Right.
It's too much work now. I've done it for 40 years. I've done it for 35 years. I'm thinking about trying to get a different income stream."
Right. We see a lot of that, especially at retirement, because they like the concept, they like the idea of getting income, but they don't like the idea of all the work they have to put in to get that income. And there are ways that with many of these people, uh, the value of their property, what it has grown to today versus what they're renting it for, is not a good number for the amount of work they have to put in to get that number compared to what other forms of passive income that we're going to be talking about today can generate for them. So we see that all the time. That's an excellent point. But the key is of having passive income in retirement, because once you get to retirement, you don't want to keep working for your money. You want your money working for you. And that's what we're talking about, right? Is you sitting on the beach sipping pina coladas instead of your money sitting on the beach sipping pina coladas. And that's where we're going today with this. Well, if you just joined us, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy, and today's topic is passive income for retirement. And we've got a lot of good things in store for you today to be able to understand how you too can have passive income in retirement. And we're going to need to take a break, but as we do, we'd like to give you a book, and it's called Return on Principle by David Scranton. And this is it's a play on words, because he talks about principles for handling your money as well as return on your principal, having your money work for you, getting some passive income for you from that standpoint with your money. So if you'd like a free copy of this book, you can call us at 800-725-7616. For the first 5 first-time callers, we'll give you a book. 800-725-7616, no obligations. But make sure that you give us a couple ways of contacting you so we can make sure that we get this book into your hands. Return on Principle by David Scranton, 800-725-7616. Call now.
This is Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy.
Daniel, as you well know, I've been working with retirees for well over 3 decades now. And the one thing that I find that retirees have in common, retirees and pre-retirees have in common, is that their number one fear is not so much the fear of dying, but it's the fear of the living death. And the living death is having more life than money, running out of money before you pass away. And what I find is the greatest reason that people have this fear, and why people run out of money, is because they don't switch from a growth stage with their investments to an income stage at the proper time. And so passive income, is something that will alleviate their fears. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy. And you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today we're talking about the power of passive income. And AAA, what is passive income?
Well, it's having money coming in without working for it. As I love the way you describe it, Daniel, and I how we trade our time for money. And when you have passive income in retirement, you don't have time anymore on your side that you want to go to work every day. You want to use your time for other things besides working. So if you want to use your time for other things besides working, that means you need to get your money from a different place besides working for it. And the only way you can do that is if you have taken time to structure income in other ways. Some people do it by going to work for the state, or a government system, or a school system, or a company that has a pension, and they build up a pension. I talked to one lady recently who told her husband, who's a psychologist, you got to go to work for the state for 5 years, even though it's terrible working for the state and it's poor pay. You got to work for them for 5 years because you're going to get vested in that 5-year period of time. And then he went back at the end of his career and is now getting because he went back for a few years at the end and he was already vested, he's going to be getting a lot of passive income from that state because of that. So, because he's put in the time, he's put in the effort up front to be able to use his resources in a way that it will come back to him at a later time. I like the Ecclesiastes 11:1 and 2 that says, "Cast your bread upon the water. After many days, it will come back to you. Give it unto 7 portions, even 8, for you don't know what disaster will come upon the land." That's the idea of taking time, doing things with your time, putting your money, doing things with your money, so that later on it's going to come back to you when maybe you don't have the health to work anymore, or maybe you do have the health, because there's 3 stages. Once people retire, there's a go stage of retirement, the slow go stage of retirement, and the no go stage of retirement. And you need money in all those phases for different things. And unfortunately, in the no go stage, is more often for healthcare, to stay home rather than going to a convalescent home or something, generally speaking. Whereas the go years, generally you're doing traveling, or you're taking the kids places, or you're doing things, and then the slow go years are maybe when you're paying for your grandkids' educations, or those kinds of, but you need money. You need income to do that. Income that you're not working for. That's what passive income is, the basics.
And that's what a dream retirement is. We talk about stress-free retirements all the time, and this is what we're talking about, because what happens is, if you are being paid, right? Your assets are paying you, you're collecting income, not for trading your time for money, but because you've already done that. You've built up an asset, you've built up something that can pay you, right? Social Security is a perfect example. You have saved away, you've slaved away, they've forced that money out of your paycheck, and then at some point in time you flip on that switch, and they give you your money back. Um, you you had to do something for it, but now you're not, right? And you're sitting back and you're collecting that, and that's on a guaranteed basis from the government.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, there's not an age involved with having a stress-free retirement, right?
Right.
It's about, you're able to retire when you're able to have an income stream that can sustain for as long as you need it to, as long as you want it to. So if you're 35 or you're 65, it doesn't matter. It's about you. When do you want to retire? And you've been on this new kick, which I like a lot, about um, we've been saying for a long time, which is an important thing, right? To support what you need, to support what you want. You want to fly first class, but you've got a kind of new thing that you're going on, which is a much better way of looking at it, or is much more positive, much more stress-free way of looking at it, right?
Right. 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 And the thing I I got 2 different directions I can go here, Daniel. The one is that playing upon what you were talking about. As I love what you said. You saved away and slaved away, right? I love that. With your money, that's what you do, right? And retirement is not so much based upon an age as it is being able to not, and it's also not based upon what you need to retire on. It's based upon what you want to retire on. Because what you need to retire on is basically saying, "Oh, I'm going to sit on the couch," generally for a lot of people, right? But what you want to retire on is what you want to do and what you want to go toward in retirement. The thing is, when can you do that? And people say that's a big thing when people are talking about Social Security, about when can I retire? When can I take Social Security? And before I get into that, I'm just going to give an identifier here. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is the power of passive income. And we're talking about how important, what passive income is, and how to use it. We're here, and we have a paper that we'd love to put in your hand that is called Passive Income for Retirement. We'd love to get that to you. Just call us at 800-725-7616 for your free copy. 800-725-7616 for a short paper on passive income for retirement. Love to put it in your hands. So anyway, getting back to, people say, when should I collect Social Security? Well, the biggest factor there is not as much as the age, as much as what you're going to get to achieve what you want to achieve in retirement. And it's not about what you need to achieve in retirement. It's about what you want to achieve in retirement. Here's the thing that, as you well know, Daniel, I told you the story. I'm in my RV at an RV park talking to some guys, and the one guy tells me, I'm in Florida, and the one guy says, well, I have an RV down here, and I have an RV in New York that I leave in New York, and I live in Rhode Island, and I just bought a new boat, a second boat. And my wife says to me, why'd you buy what do we need a second boat for? It's not about the need, it's about the want. The need was about when we were raising kids and saving for retirement. What do we need to live on? That was in order so that we could get to the point of retirement, so that we could live on what we want to live on and have the lives we want to use and spend the money we want to spend and have what we, Daniel, as you well know, your mother and I have been married well over 40 years, and I love her dearly. She says to me, Andrew, why do you need so many cars? Why do you want so many cars? And I said to her, well, it's not that I need the cars. It's because I want to, as a kid, I had all these Matchbox cars. And now as an adult, I want the real things. So it's not about what you need. It's about what you want in retirement that will allow you to enjoy that retirement. And so good stuff there. So, but passive income is
right.
what,
When you're working, you buy these things, right? When you're working, you can buy and you get the income. You have this nice paycheck. You collect that, and we're just talking about the ultimate goal, the ultimate retirement is when that paycheck keeps coming in,
right,
but you're not trading your time for it anymore.
right,
It's a passive thing. You're not selling assets, right?
right,
You're not flipping things. You're just allowing that paycheck to keep rolling in, but you're not showing up for work anymore.
right. Exactly. And here's another way of looking at it. So I have a friend who's in my business, and he was talking to somebody, and that person was into cars, and my friend said to him, "Why don't you go out and buy, a car, a muscle car?" And the guy just looked at my friend, and my friend says, I know why you don't, because you don't want to go back to your wife and say, honey, I just spent $75,000 out of our $2 million to buy this 50-year-old muscle car. She'll have a fit. But if you go back to her and say, honey, we're getting passive income off of our $2 million of $120,000 a year, and I'm going to take half of that this year, and I'm gonna buy this muscle car, and then next year, and then we'll save the rest. Then we'll compound the rest and stair step it the rest with that, and then next year we're going to take that amount of money. We're going to redo the kitchen because I know you've been wanting to redo the kitchen. How would that feel? That's a much better deal, right? And the guy just smiled at my friend and said, yeah, you got it. That's right. And that's the idea of passive income. Most people think about spending their money, their principal, as opposed to having their principal earn money for them and spend it, and be able to compound the old fashioned way. Like most people, give up the control of their money and whatnot. And that's not how to have passive income. Well, I see it's time that we need to take another break. And before we do, I'd like to give you the opportunity to get a hold of the book that we're giving away today, Return on Principle by our friend David Scranton. And this is a book that is going to be able to help you understand how to preserve your principal and how to get money on top of your principal, how to be able to get passive income from your principal. And we love to put this in your hand. You can call it we have it by calling 800-725-7616. The next first time 5 callers at 800-725-7616 gets their free copy Return on Principle. Call now.
You're locked on to Financial Strategy with Andrew and Daniel Agemy.
All righty, so you get a knock on the door, and you go over, you open it up, and there's Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. He says to you, you won the prize. You're the winner. You've got 2 options. I give you $1 million right now. You do whatever you want with it. Or I can give you a penny a day, doubled, for the next 30 days. You have to choose right now.
Million
What do you,
dollars now.
what do you do? I'm Daniel Agemy.
I'm Andrew Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy because people don't know what people don't know. If you answer $1 million now, you're one of those. So listen
Well,
to what
let's
we.
see. Let's see. All right.
So,
So
all right.
you go and you pick the $1 million. I pick the penny a day.
Yeah.
So day 5, I've got 16 cents.
Oh boy.
How's that million feeling?
Hey, it's feeling really good, man. I've made more than that in interest right now.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's see. So day 15, I've got $163.
Still made more in interest than you did.
Hmm. All right. Well, day 20, I've got
Yeah.
$5,242.
Day 20. Okay, all right. So I haven't made as much an interest in that as that so far. So
So
okay.
it's not sounding very good.
No.
It's looking like you made the right choice. All right. Day 25. I've got $167,000. Pretty good.
167 on day 25. That's still a long way from my million, man.
Huh?
I don't know. You're gonna catch up?
This is pretty bad. All right. So day 27. I've got $671,000. Day 28,
Wow.
1.3 million.
Oh, you passed me out.
And day 30, $5.3 million.
Wow.
That's the
5 times as
power
much.
of
Yeah.
compounding interest. That's the power of passive compounding interest.
Right. Right. But it didn't happen all at once, did it? It was
No,
little
it took
by
a
little.
long time, right?
Yeah, like
It's
a
not it's
locomotive.
it's it's not into those last, you know, 4 days really before it starts going exponential.
Right. Right. And that's a key point when we're talking about growing money the old-fashioned way through dividends and interest is it doesn't happen overnight. But in the long run, it's phenomenal. And when we're talking about the long run being in retirement, well, that is even more so because that's without being able to get if you got $1 million and being able to get 40, $50,000 a year from that $1 million plus your social security plus maybe you have a pension or maybe you have a piece of rental property, that's some good money that you can get the rest of your life, um, as a that you can count on. You don't have to do any of that crazy stuff like hope and pray and wish and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it. I think that that story, your friend and that other guy with the buying of the car, right? The $2 million and pumping out $160,000 or so a year. This is what we're talking about with the Beso analogy, right? Where you're stacking returns, right? It's not like a scale. It's not like an icy mountain where you can slide up and slide down. It's stairs. You're stacking. So you spent the $70,000
Yep.
on the car,
Yep.
and you've got all the rest that's compounding, just like in this example. It's not
Creating a
doubling
step.
every year,
Yeah.
right? But you built that step.
Yeah.
You took the extra, right? You
Yep.
took that extra 50,000, and
Yep.
that steps that stacks. That makes a step. And then
Right.
you stack 50 on top of the 50, and then you stack 70 on top of the 50, and then right, and it keeps compounding like that. You can spend it, you can save it, you can do whatever you want with it. That's the amazing thing about passive income is there's no rules, right? There's no
Right.
rules to what you can do with it. And
Right.
that's why it provides um these stress-free retirements that we're talking about, these ideal retirements that we're talking about, because you can stack the returns or you can spend the returns. You can buy a new car in a downturn, right?
Right.
You can go
Right.
on a vacation. You can take people you love, right? Things
Right.
change throughout. We talk about this all the time. You don't wear the same shoes today as you did, when you were 18.
Right.
You don't wear the same clothes. You may not listen to the same music. You don't live in the same type of house. You don't hang out with the same types of people. So investing shouldn't be the same as when you're,
No.
in your teens and 20s and 30s if you're in a retirement age.
Right, right. And you're talking about that. Well, okay. I need to give a qualifier here. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy because people don't know what people don't know. Today's topic is the power of passive income for retirement. And we have a paper that we'd love to give you that talks about those kinds of things that can create passive income with your investment monies. And that's the introduction universe of non-stock market or income generating alternatives. And we love to be able to put this in your hands and be able to help you educate you more on this topic. So just call us 800-725-7616 for your free copy, no obligation, universe of income generating alternatives, free for your perusal. It's only about 3 pages long. Nice, easy, simple read. Call now, 800-725-7616. Daniel, when we're talking about this passive income, it's so important to be, I love that stair step aspect because if you don't need if you don't need the money, you can build those stair steps up toward retirement instead of just going from a $10 share, $11 share, $12 share, because it can go the other direction. And if you need part of that income, well, maybe the step is not as big as it was, but it's still a step. And it compounds in that fashion. I love that analogy. Many times we're talking about the chicken and the eggs, and if you don't need the eggs, well, then we buy more chickens, we get more eggs, and same kind of thing. But passive income in retirement, and for retirement, is a key thing. And it can even be a great way to grow your money. There's people that will say, well, right now my money has come down, the market's come down, my money's come down, so I can't switch to this income model. I can't switch to a distribution model right now because my money's come down. Well, the thing that people don't understand too often is the fact that if you had $1 million in January of 2022, and we could get you $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year of dividends and interest, and that has come down to maybe $800,000, $850,000. Now we can still get you $40,000 to $50,000 a year of dividends and interest to be able to have that passive income, which is a beautiful thing because when the market does come back, your money can come back a lot faster than just the set and forget non-managed way.
Yeah, the income our income portfolios, um, outperformed by a lot in 2022, right? They beat the S&P, they outperformed the S&P
Right,
tremendously, like not even close.
right.
And now people are like, well, the S&P's done pretty good so far in 2023 year to date. Well, the income portfolios that we've built for our clients, they've outperformed that year to date too. How did that happen? Well, that's one because good active management, but that's two because of those stairs, those compounding, right? So
Mhm.
so um that income coming in was able to reinvest. Now, not only the income, but when you're talking about passive incomes, you're talking about actively managed passive income. You have things like corporate bonds, government bonds. You have things where they mature in a certain time. You're able to take a lump sum and reinvest when opportunities present themselves. And then you don't go back to where you were
Right,
when things come back. You
right.
you you blow ahead,
Explode.
just like the Jeff Bezos analogy. You
Right,
explode ahead, right? And
right.
it takes a little bit of time to build up. It takes some time to build up. But once people have these portfolios and they watch this passive income coming in, they watch this start compounding, it's it's like a perpetual motion machine, right? It just keeps
Yeah,
going and going and going.
right. Like a snowball going down the mountain, building bigger and bigger as you go, and just snowball effect for the positive. Uh, you know, when we're talking about this passive income, Daniel, I think it's important to be able to talk about those things that create passive income. Sometimes, a lot of times people will think about, things like good, quality, dividend paying stocks. And
Yeah.
those, just like REITs, retirement, real estate investment trusts, or business development corporations, are all things that pay dividends to you. But uh, you don't know, the dividends is not promised. They can change it, they can start it, stop it, increase it, decrease it. And we saw that happen with quality common stocks during COVID, right? Where 100 plus companies stopped their dividend
Mhm.
because of COVID. They didn't know what was going to happen. But what we're talking about are those things that you invest by contract, where the interest and or dividends are guaranteed to you by contract. In the same way you guaranteed the bank the interest that when you had a mortgage on the house, the interest that you're going to pay them, they guarantee you this interest and dividends. And so it's a huge thing. But I see that we need to take a break, and we'll have to talk about that when we come back, about how those things work and what the difference is between these non-promised dividends and promised dividends, guaranteed dividends by contract. So you want to come back after we take a break. And in the meantime, we'd love to give you this book called Return on Principle. And Return on Principle is an easy read book, only about 150 pages or so, that's going to be able to help you to be able to understand how to protect your principal, and how to create passive income on top of your principal, so that you can grow your money the old fashioned way, through compounding as opposed to just growth. And so we'd love to put this in your hand to the next five callers, first time five callers at 800-725-7616. Give us a couple of ways of being able to contact you so we can make sure that we can get it in your hands. And we'll love to give this to you. 800-725-7616. Call now.
This is Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy.
So you buy a house. Congratulations. You go to the bank and you get a mortgage with a bank. And when you get that mortgage with the bank, it's a contract the bank has. The bank doesn't want to take your word for it. They're not going to hope that you pay them back the money that they loan you. They want a contract. This contract states that you're going to pay X amount of interest over X amount of time. So the bank knows by contract that they will get all their money back plus interest by X date. And if for some reason you don't pay that back, well, then you're in jeopardy of your credit score being lowered and going bankrupt, and them taking your money plus the house, and then selling your house for more. Why? Because they have a contract. This contract is an agreement between you and them, signed, sealed, and delivered, that guarantees the bank you're going to pay them back the money. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today we're talking about the power of passive income. And Dad, that sounds like the bank has got some passive income coming in.
Exactly.
What did they have to do? All they did was put together a contract, like get some free money from the Federal Reserve,
Yeah.
and they hold the collateral. They
Yeah.
hold probably your bank account with whatever
Right.
funds you have in there,
Yeah.
and they've got a contract saying how much you're going to pay them when.
Exactly. Exactly. They got that contract. It becomes passive income. They're not doing anything, right? You're the one that owns the house. You're paying the taxes on the house. You're mowing the lawn. You're painting the house. You're putting a new roof on. You're doing all the work to the house. All they're doing is collecting the interest for loaning you the money. So their money is working hard. Now, that's a great example of what we're talking about when we're talking about passive income. But which would you rather be, Daniel? Would you rather be the bank or the person borrowing the money from the bank?
I'd rather be the bank. Absolutely. I mean,
Exactly.
in that case, I hold all the control. If I say you didn't pay on time, I can take the house back, or I can penalize you, or I can whatever. It's in the contract, right? If you miss a payment, um, you lose your job, I've got no risk, right? I get the house
Right.
back.
Right.
Um, and these are kind of some of the things that we're talking about. Those are ways people can own their own contracts like the bank does
Exactly.
and collect passive income. Now
Exactly.
you had mentioned common stocks. You
Right.
had mentioned business development companies, real estate investment trusts, and then we could probably put like these royalty or these streaming companies in there too, which are
Right.
pretty cool. You're buying royalties, right? Everybody
Right.
kind of understands
Yeah,
the
that's
idea
an
behind a royalty. Um,
passive income. Right.
these are things that are a little bit more risky. They may pay higher dividends. They may have more upside potential than the bank contract than that, right? But
Right.
there's a lot more volatility and more risk to you because the companies can cut those dividends when they say you don't have a contract, right?
Right.
You don't
Right.
have a contract. Some of these are paying nice, right?
Right.
Some of these are
Right.
paying real nice, and you can be selective and do the due diligence behind picking the stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
But there's no
and
guarantees.
there's no
Yeah.
guarantees on these things, right?
Right. And that's what we're talking about is the importance of having a contract that guarantees this. So when we're talking about bonds and bond-like instruments, you're investing by contract. You have a contract with the company that you're loaning this money to where you're the bank for the company in the case of a bond, and like the town I live in Madison, they buy all this property, and then they issue bonds. So then they're loan when if I bought a $10,000 bond, I'm loaning money to the town of Madison to buy this property, and then they're going to pay me X amount of interest over the period of time. But I'm the bank for that piece of the money that I loaned them, and it's contractual to where they're going to pay me back that money. So I know worst case scenario by this point, if it's a 10-year bond, I loan them $10,000 and they're going to pay me, double tax free 3% on my money. Then I know that at the end of 10 years, I'm getting my $10,000 back, and I'm going to make basically in the vicinity of $3,000 double tax free over that period of time. And I know that. Worst case scenario. Best case, it could be better than that. But worst case, because they could default and I could make my money, or I could sell it or whatever, right? But
Right.
the different things. But that's the idea is it. But I have a contract at that point that says what their obligations are to me,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to me having a contract with bank that says what my obligations are to the bank. So this allows people to have their money work for them and generate this passive income in the way the banks generate passive income for them. So it's a beautiful thing. We're talking
Yeah,
about
and so those bonds come in different forms, right? You talked about like the municipality. You could buy U.S. government
yeah,
bonds, right?
treasuries,
From
yeah,
from 5 days, from a day, right,
right,
all the way
right,
out to 30 years. And so you can match maturities, and it's crazy because some of these short term ones right now, you I saw some today for 5%. You could get less than a year for 5% from the U.S. government, right?
right, right,
And then like the municipalities and then the corporations.
right.
And so you can choose the risk level, the risk return, right? We always talk about risk adjusted return. That's such a big thing, the risk adjusted returns. Um, and you can look at these and you can decide which ones fit your passive income needs, which
Right,
ones fit your time horizons, right?
right,
And that's
right.
what this white paper is, that we this have this paper that we put together for people to explain how these different things work.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what we're like to offer you today. It's called the Universe of Income Generating Investments. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is the power of passive income. And we love to put this paper in your hand that explains to you some of the different types of investments, how they work, that you can get passive income from. And you can have that for free by calling us at 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616 for your free copy. Uh, so, the things that generate this income by contract are bonds and bond-like instruments. So there's individual bonds, whether they're corporate, municipal, or treasury, meaning U.S. Treasury, and then there's preferred securities. All these things are by contract, which the dividends and interest are set at issue. So they're contractually guaranteed from that standpoint. So investing by contract is a key to having the passive income that you need, want in retirement. Now, some people, right? They go and they buy things, and they give up their contract by buying them in a mutual fund. So a lot of people will buy bond funds where you don't have the contract with the company. The bond fund has the contract. You have an indirect contract, but you give up the guarantees when you do that for liquidity. That is kind of crazy how people will give up their contracts in those situations, right, Daniel?
Yeah, yeah, and it's insane. We're not gonna get too nerdy and go through the math, but the math behind the bonds, right, is you know how much return you will get based upon duration and where rates are. And
Right.
so this is something that is incredible with the bonds. Um,
Yeah.
is because right now where rates are, you are earning money in two ways, right? TR, total return, is made up of two things: income and growth. So when we're talking about passive income, we're talking about the I.
Uh
TR equals
huh.
I plus G, the income, what it pays you. And you can
Right.
spend that, reinvest it, do whatever you want with it. That's the power of passive. You set the rules, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, where things are now, though, is you can get growth because of that math, right? Because you're buying these things under par, and they will go up when the company buys them back from you. So you buy
Yep.
$10,000, 10 bonds.
Uh huh.
That means the company will buy those 10 bonds back, or the government will buy those
Yep.
10 bonds back for you for $10,000. But
Uh
you
huh.
didn't pay $10,000. You paid $8,000. So now you're going to collect your passive income, right? Your $500 a year,
Yep.
right?
Right.
And you're going to collect $2,000 either when rates go the other way,
Yeah.
it will come up to par. You'll get your
Yeah.
$2,000 back that way, or it may go above and
Yeah.
you might get $3,000. And then you can decide you want to sell it. So you're in control
Nice.
because you own the contract, right?
Nice.
So you're getting the income, which is certain,
Yep.
and you're getting the growth, which is a mathematical equation.
Yeah.
Whereas you could compare it to some of these other things that may or may not have contracts. You could look at the S&P 500 and you could compare it to that, which I already said these portfolios have beat the S&P. But these stocks in the S&P have come down tremendously, and they're still expensive in historical terms. So you're getting with some of these bond-like instruments, you're getting equity-like returns without taking on equity risk, and it's
Wow.
passive. So if you have 10 years of flat, which we've seen how many times, you could look
Yep.
back at a chart from the 1800s until now, and you see all these time periods where the market's flat: 13 years, 21 years,
Yep.
25 years, right? All these different time periods. If you're in something that's not even expensive, but it's flat
Yep.
and it's not paying you, then what do you do for that time frame? Not spend any money? Go get a
Right.
job? What do you do?
No. I mean, once we specialize in making sure that people don't have to retire from retiring and have to
Mm,
have to go back to work. If you want to go back to work, that's one thing. But we specialize and make sure you don't have to go back to work. Now, we're talking about these different things, getting passive income, and we're running out of time like
mm,
really fast. And I just want to throw these last two things in that are very important to be able to understand that well, actually three things. So in order, it's not just the investment vehicles you're investing in, to create the passive income, but it's the strategy you're investing with a management, an active management to where you're not managing it because it wouldn't be passive at that point, but you have somebody managing it for you, a good financial person that specializes in actively managing passive income. Okay, so that's real key that you look to somebody for that. There's not many people in this country that specialize in that. There are people that may do that, but typically if they just do it and they don't specialize in it, they probably can't do it as well as a specialist, right? That's why you go to a heart surgeon when you need your heart operated on instead of podiatrist. Okay. Then another thing is investing, weighting of the investments, the diversification of the investments to make it work for you. And then, of course, another thing is making sure they're good quality things. So if you can do, some of you out there do it yourself, or if you can do all of that yourself and want to do all that yourself in retirement, okay, that's good. There's a lot to it, but then there's experience that comes into play, or you can get people that can do that for you. So we're glad to be able to educate you in these things, and trust that you will be able to understand how you too can have a stress-free retirement. I'd like to give you this book in closing for today: Return on Principal. Make sure that you get not just your principal back, but return on your principal. So love to put this in your hand. Next, first time callers at 800-725-7616 gets your free copy. 800-725-7616. Call now, and we wish you the best. And we don't have to wish, but we want you to have a stress-free retirement.